what's your response to the news this morning?
My heart is heavy, but I've thought for a long time, is there really a great difference between Republicans and Democrats? Because I think for so long, both parties have bought into corporate power, and there really is not a care for the poor. And so I think the work is before us. You know, the sun comes up today, and the work will continue as we try to stand for peace and justice and humanity. If we think of Trump's presidency, the first time, he often said a lot of things and never carried through. Will he carry through on the deportation of thousands of immigrants in this country? I think is unknown at this time. I think the Democrats need to listen more to the people, to the poor, to the workers. An example was Bernie Sanders was not really used at all in campaigning. He went on his own and campaigned for Harris, but he wasn't used at all. And instead, Harris went around with Liz Cheney, a Republican whose father was a warmonger. And so I don't think that sets well at all with the Democratic Party. My hope is that people will not give up the fight, and that we will continue to try to get people, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, Independents, whatever, that believe in humanity, that believe in a world of peace and justice, will work for legislation, and we can still get some things done for the people.
Of the evangelicals are Zionists.
Yeah.
She said,
I didn't expect him to win by that much of a margin and with that many more in the popular vote. So that was definitely surprising and kind of, again, just concerning as to what people are thinking and the philosophies people are holding out there. But I agree with Keish on the point of, I don't know in terms of our advocacy, whether if it's Palestine or peace work in general, if it changes a whole lot, because both parties, I mean, what could we see that was worse than the past 12 months? Warmongering by the Democrats all the way. So I think it's a part of me, while being very perturbed, disturbed about the outcome, had kind of like just this peace inside hearing that it was like, whatever the outcome, we got to keep going in this work, and we have to just keep pushing for something better. And I think keep thinking of the people in Gaza, keep thinking of the people in Lebanon, that they're depending on voices like ours to continue and not to be intimidated just because Trump won. So I hope that we can, not let them down and just keep the work going.
Yeah. Wouldn't have mattered if Harris had won today too. I mean, what would we be talking about? Same damn thing. That the Democratic Party had shown no inclination at all to change its policies, none at all. And that tiny little thing she threw at the very end of a little more compassion for the people of Palestine, well, that was bullshit. So we got to just keep after them. It's just frustrating as it can be, but I think what we all we didn't know who was going to win, but we knew what our challenges were going to be no matter who won. And with Trump in, at least we can hammer all the Republicans saying, it's your president now, and he said he wants peace in the Middle East. Of course, we don't know what that means, since one of the settlements is named for him, and he moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, and all this stuff that he's already done. So we really know where he is, but at least we can go into the Republicans and say, okay, now you're in charge, and you are now responsible for the genocide. You can't blame it on the Democrats anymore. It's your genocide now.
I think we need to go that route of building an independent party that includes all of the intersections and that has a platform that is at its core economic and then meets the needs of the other interests. What really scares me on the second front is that this week, maybe it was Sunday, I don't know, that the settlers are going nuts. burning cars, burning houses, nobody checking them, and nobody will check them. And so, I just don't see any force that's going to slow that down, and in fact, it's going to speed up. And so, how can Palestinians survive as a nationality, as a culture, as a people? I'm really afraid. And for me, the moral authority is with the churches at this point. They've got to come out and come out hard, because we've just proved that we Americans don't care about bullying or lying or changing facts. We're in a sad state of affairs, a moral vacuum, and that has to be addressed. And UNRWA, what, three trucks or something gets in a day? It really is ethnic cleansing, and the international community has to get aggressive, and I don't know how we organize internationally, but their signs, their group was 52 countries that have come out against arms sales and transfers. I don't know those people, but I feel like we need to build on that and encourage them to move their populations. Anyway.
And the other opportunity really is on the international front. And that's not what this group is focusing on, but some of us have done a lot of work on international issues. And I think now we have a chance to pull together a lot of our friends in Europe and in other places who are scared of Trump and ready to kind of, join us and be more vocal. And let's face it, many of them have been more successful than we have been at getting their governments to stop weapons sales, to push on the issue of trade with Israel.
The next 4 years are going to be very turbulent, going to be very violent in many ways, and a polarisation of the United States that like we've never seen before. I think it's polarised at the moment between both camps, but it's even going to be even more polarised between the haves and the have-nots. And within those have-nots, those that believe that Donald Trump will be their saviour and take them to the promised land, or whether in fact there's another way forward. And what does it mean for the people outside of the United States, for the people in Gaza, for the poor people in the Ukraine that have been living with a desperate war that's been taking their children for the last 3 years now, for the mothers in Russia, fathers that have had their sons conscripted by Putin's brutal methods to be able to enforce his idea of a greater Soviet Union revitalised. What does it mean for the people of Australia as we've been sucked into the vortex by the United States over the last 4 or 5 decades to be its deputy sheriff for the South Pacific and Southeast Asia? It got us involved in the Vietnam War, it got us involved in Afghanistan and Iraq, 2 wars in Iraq, millions and millions of people killed in all those brutal wars, where the United States pulls out of it and leaves a mess to the locals to clean up, and all the aftermath of it there. What will it mean for Australia in terms of the United States conflict with China and its determination to remain the top dog in Southeast Asia? I shudder to think, because Australia to this point has just been so willy-nilly under both Labor governments and Liberal national parties to do whatever America says. Yes sir, 3 bags full sir, whatever you want us to do. What will that mean for us in terms of a presidency that's run by Trump and his cohort, who's so unpredictable, so erratic, and he's got the nuclear codes now. What will that mean for Australia with having a prime nuclear target in the centre of Australia called Pine Gap?